Hello.
Hey, what you doing?
Oh, I'm just sitting here.
You're what?
Just sitting here at the table.
That's what I think I'm doing right now. To bed. You
Oh,
know, Nan?
hi Shane. Hi Larry. Hi Walt. So Shane, how are you? Hi Matthew. Yeah, no doubt. Hi Austin. Okay, I got 10. So just wanted to let you guys know that I'm I'm gonna be done. Hang on one second. I'll join in tonight, but it's always super hard to get a word in edgewise. But yeah, so I just figured, and I told Ken, anybody that was just watching him, that I was gonna do a stream. It's not gonna be very long, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be done. Pretty sure I'm gonna be done. The reason being is because what what used to be enjoyment for me coming on, seeing people that I thought were my friends, not only was I being stabbed in the back, I was being talked about, name calling, stuff like that. And the past, I don't know, I can't even put a time limit on it, but it's just been, in my opinion, it's been getting worse and worse and worse. You know, people just putting this one down, putting that one down, carrying on and stuff like that. And it's just to the point with me where it's not enjoyable anymore at all. At all. Um I have done my own streams sometimes in the afternoon. Uh if Ken had a Zoom or something like that, he would always say to Austin or myself, well, if they would like to start, they can. If not, whatever. And yeah, normally between Austin or myself, we would do that. And you know, I don't appreciate when people are sending Ken messages saying how, I'm ruining his channel, or, I ruined his channel, blah, 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 blah. Actually, to be honest with you, it's quite the opposite. Okay, because I asked Ken. Ken doesn't ask me, like I said, unless he's doing a Zoom or something like that. He may, say, "Hey, Austin, hey, Stacey, when do you guys start this?" No, yeah, no big deal. I can carry a stream on my own, as I have done numerous, numerous, numerous times. You have Mark saying, "Oh yeah, she can't do this." I got stabbed in the back, and yeah, I'm using names. I got stabbed in the back by Shelly. "I love you. You're like a sister to me." Blah 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 blah. That one there hurt. That one hurt. The whole shit with Robert and the politics. You know, all the name calling, all the bullshit carrying on. And I can see Ken doesn't even enjoy it anymore. You know, it's not my channel. I don't dictate who can and cannot be here. Okay. I have, which I will not name names, but I have people that text me, you know, basically, in other words, can you do something about this? Blah, 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 blah. And here's your answer. It's yes and no. If I'm doing my own personal stream as I am now, and I see something or somebody in the chat that's getting out of hand, or, trolls or something like that, yes, I can remove them, or something like that. Um, but somebody told me, and I really am starting to believe it. I'm not mentioning any names. The person's watching, but the person told me it seems that every couple of years the faces up here change, and that's true. That's absolutely true, guys. We had at one time, we had a really good thing going. You know, the Vern, the Clitus, Agatha, Martha, Phil, stuff like that. You did say that, Austin. You did. Um, we did. We had a really, really good thing going, and because of ignorance and just I don't even know the word to use. It's just it's not fun for me anymore. It's not therapeutic for me anymore. Quite frankly, it's quite the opposite. It's quite the opposite. I used to enjoy, oh, is Ken on yet? Is Ken on yet? Stuff like that. I would enjoy it. And now I find myself where I'll come up. Nine chances out of 10, I'll end up I'll stop my cam. I'll mute myself. There's no positive interaction. Well, there is positive interaction, but not near like there was. Rather it's this person that's picking on this one, this one that's picking on that one, you know, being rude and not taking turns as far as talking. I understand there's a lag. Before I got a different internet, I had a terrible, terrible lag. I'm quite sure I probably was talking over people. I didn't mean to. But nonetheless, you're always gonna have that. When you have, because you can have 10 people up here. That's the way Ken has it. You can have 10 people. So if the panel's full, you're always going to have somebody, and they're not doing it on purpose. Nine chances out of 10, it's not on purpose. But you're always going to have somebody that, okay, well, I'm talking, they may have a lag, so they're going to start talking, and stuff like that. And it's it's sad and it's heartbreaking to me. I will be honest with you, because we call ourselves a family. In my mind, the way that I look at it is I have I have a circle. I have a circle of people that I truly, truly love, that I truly love, and that I would have their back no matter what. Okay. But the hatred, the ignorance, and I'm not perfect, guys. You all know that. I mean, I'll fly off the handle, at different times or whatever. But normally, I have a reason for it. I don't just come out and I'm being rude, I'm being ignorant, whatever, whatever. So yeah, having said that, that's where I'm coming from. I enjoy, you know, I like I said, it's heartbreaking for me. I do enjoy 90% of you guys, but then there's that lower percent that really, my opinion, it really drags not only the channel down, but it also has been dragging me down personally. You know, it's a lot easier said than done to let it go in this ear and out the other ear. You know, um, but we're all human. I have feelings, believe it or not. People look at me as she's an asshole. Blah 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 blah. I promise you, I really am not. I'm not an asshole. Can I be? Absolutely, but we all can. Um, I'm just trying to think because, like I said, I will be on um, reflections. I called it revelations earlier. I forgot that Ken changed it. I will be on, but like I said, it's very, very hard when there's a lot of people up there. It's very hard, to speak. So that's why I was doing, my own. And if somebody wants to come up, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. I would never ever tell you, you know, whatever. You're not allowed up here, or whatever. There's people that, like I said, there's people on here that I absolutely love. Austin Nora, Kieran, Marina, Ronan, uh, Kensley, or shit. I'm having a brain fart, Austin. I'm so sorry. Jeff, Judy, Noah, Kens, Kels. I think a lot of Kels. Mr. Larry. I absolutely love and adore Larry. His songs have really got me through a lot. I enjoy the talking, biblical issues with Larry. No, see, there again, Judy, you don't have to be sorry for anything. You simply were sticking up for yourself, and it's like I told you before, Judy. I had said, and so did other people, no, 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 it's not like that. That's not what was meant, and stuff like that. So, I mean, don't ever be sorry for being you. Um, I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to cover, all the basics. I mean, I've often said, and I'll keep saying it. You know, I don't drink. I don't smoke weed. Does that make me? perfect? Does that make me any better than you or you or you or you? No, it doesn't. Do I judge you or you or you or you because you smoke weed or because you drink? No, it does not. I think people are just reading too much into the internet bullshit. Who cares what anyone says? Just my opinion now. If they want to come and go, so let it be. Don't let the bullshit get to your head. Yeah, and I totally, I understand that, Nora. But like I said, when it comes, because I was very, very, I'm kind of at a loss for words. I put my all into it, I guess. I guess is a good way to say it. And then it's just like, you know, this is what you get in return. You know what I mean? Oh, well, thank you, Larry. Larry says, I'll still comment in the nude to honor you, Stacy. But yeah, this is not meant for a pity party or anything like that. I just wanted to come on, and just let you guys know, the way that I'm feeling and stuff like that. And it's like I said, last night, you can talk until you're blue in the face. And when somebody has something in their mind, or they're not happy with themselves, it's so easy for them to just be spewing a bunch of hate and ignorance to make them feel like the bigger, better person. When in all reality, it's the complete opposite. Because it not only it makes them look like the ass, it's just not very becoming of anybody to be acting like an idiot. And some of the shit that we've all seen, you know, yeah, ha ha, this part's funny or whatever. Some of the stuff, yeah, it is. It's fucking funny, whatever, whatever. But then you have it where this is being taken out of context. This is being taken out of context. Oh, well, this one doesn't have the same political beliefs as me, or, this one is an atheist. This one doesn't have the same biblical beliefs as I do. You know, like I said, guys, and I've said this for so long, and I will continue to say this same thing. It does not matter to me what any of you guys do in your personal life. One, it's none of my business. Two, what you guys do, that does not affect my personal life at all. At all. You know, um, things with Matthew's in here. I'll take Matthew for instance. You know, things with Matthew. I don't care if Matthew has McDonald's every day. That's not affecting me. I'm not buying it. Um, Let me think. Drinking, smoking weed. What you guys do is your business. And there again, it's not affecting my life. So why make it my business? You see what I'm saying? If that makes any sense to you guys. Yeah, I mean, it should be something where if we truly, truly are family, my family sucks, with the exception, obviously, of my husband, my children, and my brother. My family sucks. My husband's family, they suck. They don't bother, you know. But if we're truly a family on here, guys, then let's start acting like it. You know, are we gonna have our issues or something like that where I disagree with Austin on something, or Austin disagrees with me on something. Yes, guys, that happens. Hello, it's life. But what do? You go to that person, you say, hey, which I've done. Austin will tell you this, okay? Austin will tell you this. When the shit was going on, I think it was something with G. Like I said, I'm not afraid to use names. It was something I think with G, and I was being told one thing. I believe Austin was being told something else. I was pissed. I think Austin was pissed off. And instead of me lashing out at Austin or ignoring him or something like that. No, what did I do? I came in and I said in the private chat, I'm like, Austin, I need to talk to you, or we need to talk, something like that. Okay. Fast forward, it was backstage. Austin and I talked. We didn't raise our voices. We weren't screaming and carrying on at each other. We talked because that's what adults do. And that's the way that it should be. Like I said, instead of spewing the hatred and stuff like that. And to get back with Matthew and whatever, I know Austin and Nora, Jeff and Judy, Kels, they have children that are autistic or have disabilities, and stuff like that. And there again, you know if Matthew wants to have McDonald's all day, every day, who are we to? I mean, is it healthy for you? No. But there's a lot of stuff that's not healthy for you, you know? And I'm not picking at one single person. I just pulled Matthew out of the like, okay, perfect example right there. Um, Derek was very, very upset last night with the way that, Derek was acting. And so were a lot of you guys. There's just certain things, and it's like I said last night, and it holds to be very, very true. Those in glass houses shall not be throwing stones, because one of the things was that really, really got to me, and anybody that is a normal, not well, a regular, I guess, on here, you know you've seen my face, you know who I am, you know what I deal with, and you know about my brother. Okay. And his stroke, it was a lot to do with his speech. And that's why I said to Ken, I said, if anybody was to ever be calling Greg a retard, that was what was said last night, they would be picking themselves up from the ground. And like I said, guys, you never know what is in your future. None of us know. Do you think, Greg went to bed that night knowing or even thinking that this was going to happen to him and that it was going to change his whole entire life? You know, um, with Jeff and Judy, Austin and Nora, Kels, you know, they it has to be a struggle every day. I'm not in that situation, with the kids and stuff like that, but it has to be a struggle on these guys every single day. I know when we were in East Earl, they were uh, defeating with Marina and stuff like that, and like watching their monitors and stuff like that. You know, it really makes you sit back and feel very, very blessed that for me, my children, they never had to go through that, but you never know what the next generation's, going to be. Perhaps my sons, maybe they would father a child that has the same um, condition or syndrome, something. I'm not exactly sure if I'm saying it correctly, you know, as Baby Marina or something like Kelsey's children or Judy and Jeff's children, you know, I don't I don't know that I would be able to handle taking care of them. I mean, I'm quite sure if they were my children and that's all that I ever knew, obviously yes. But for me to, you know, stand up and say, because this was said the other night, oh, Judy, I would be able to, it was either said to Judy or Jeff, I would absolutely be able to take Noah and stuff like that. No, you absolutely would not be able to do that, you know, because it's hard on his mom and dad. So what makes anybody else enjoy, or what makes anybody else think that they would be able to take care of somebody else's child that is a special needs child? You know, you don't know what they go through. You don't know what Austin and Nora go through. You don't know what Kels goes through. Tommy has a special needs daughter. You know, like I said, it's just a lot of my decision making is stemmed from that aspect of it, as far as throw stones being thrown, basically like, oh well, I could do better as this parent, or you know, something like that. I could do better. I could do this. I could do this. I promise you, you couldn't. You couldn't. You know, so between that and just honestly guys, the some of the stuff that I see or some of the stuff that I hear, it's just it's pure ignorance. Pure ignorance. I'm reading the chat, guys. And oh, yeah, I can't I can't carry my own stream. I think I mentioned that earlier. That to me, that's just funny because I've done it numerous times. Yeah, Shane, you're absolutely right. My dad used to say that actions speak louder than words. Absolutely right. You know, but for the people that I know, you know, really enjoy the company of the after darks, you know, rather you come up on panel, or you know, maybe that's not the thing for everybody. You know, I see Shane in here every night in the chat. I've never seen Shane on, you know, the panel. Maybe that's not his thing. Maybe Shane doesn't feel comfortable doing that, you know, and that's okay. That's okay. But I guess the whole thing is, you know, I don't I don't feel as if, you know, we should be having this conversation again, as far as, you know, like being nice to others and, you know, whatever. Now, yeah, there's exceptions. There's exceptions. Becky, huge exception. You know, the way she came on here and she talked about Austin and Nora's children, the way she talked about the unborn baby, just, yeah, don't even get me started with that. Um, but like I said, perfect example right there is with Becky. You know, I have no time for her. I told her before I would be cordial, and then there was more shit that got, you know, started, and then it got to the point where, okay, I can't even be cordial with you anymore. Just don't bother me. Okay, you know what I mean? Like just leave me alone. Don't text me, don't call me, anything like that. Well, and the thing about it is, though, Shane, and like I said, it's not my channel. I'm not the one that makes the rules, but I mean, I try to follow what Ken expects, and that is, don't just go and time somebody out, you know, give them a warning, give them a second warning, and then put them in a timeout, stuff like that. Um, I don't know. Needs to be a system set up and get out of control. No, this isn't about anybody that hurt my feelings or, whatever. It's just the way that I've been feeling. And like I said, it's just one thing that I felt that I had to address because I really, really enjoyed and looked forward to the after dark and, stuff like that. And like I said, guys, you know, it really hasn't been much fun for me. Oh, thank you, Judy. I appreciate that. I mean, sure, it's nice to get to see, I mean, Ken Burn, I can see that bastard anytime I want to, but I miss Austin and Nora. I only got to see them one time, but it was like, I knew them my whole entire life, you know. I got to meet Jeff. It was like I knew him, my whole entire life. I do enjoy, if nothing else, I enjoy getting to see Austin and Nora and the kids. They're growing so much. I enjoy Jeff and Judy, and I enjoy, getting to see Ken's or, Noah, Tommy and Deb and Amber, Larry, and I love it when he, comes on and, his humor, and sometimes he'll bless us with a beautiful song. You know, there's other ones too, guys. I'm just picking the ones that are first coming to my head that are a little bit more near and dear in my heart than me. But like I said, and I mean, I'll be on here maybe for like 10 more minutes. It wasn't meant to be, a big to do. It's definitely not a pity party or, you know, I expect people to kiss my ass to stay or something like that. Absolutely not. It's just, I'm really hoping that it will open people's eyes to at least try to be a better person. Thank you, Shane. I mean, we're definitely not always happy go lucky people. None of us are. Trust me, with my mental health issues, which I'm an open book. Anybody that knows me, I am an open book. I've been suffering for 24 years with mental health. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. You know, so even for me to be up here, you know, back in the day, that would have never, ever, ever happened. It does take a lot of courage to come up here, especially when you're doing a solo like I am now. It takes a lot of courage because I'm putting myself out there big time. I'm putting myself out there, um, which I didn't have to do. I didn't have to do. I could have tucked tail and just went off of my merry old way or whatever. But that's not what I'm about. Because like I said, guys, I'm an open book. If anybody has questions or I can help anybody, that's me. You can ask honestly anybody that knows me personally, and they will tell you that I have an absolute heart of gold, you know. And like I said, surprisingly, yeah, guess what? I do have a heart. I do have feelings, you know. And for the most part, guys, for the most part, I can sit back and just be like, that comment, oh, really? Whatever. Just in this year and out the other year. But then it gets to a point where, you know what, enough is enough now. Enough is enough. Like when are you ever gonna stop with the insults and the name calling, and shit like that? Because you can only in this year and out the other year so long. And I understand that's what people like to do. They try to get your goat. They try to get under your skin. And like I said, struggling and dealing on a daily basis with mental health issues, I know I'm not the only person. This to me was at one point in time, it was very, very therapeutic for me. And like I said, unfortunately, it's just been getting harder and harder for me to even sit through. That's why I said, if I'm not up here, my cam will be off. I'll be muted, or I'll just be sitting here because you can't get a word in edgewise. This one's fighting with this one. That one's fighting with that one. The chat's going crazy, and shit like that. So that's why I say I think for my own peace of mind, I'm just gonna have to call it the end. Larry. Yeah, I know, Judy. I do too. And I get it, they got a new baby, they're super busy. I know Austin works crazy hours, I get it. I really do. I was kind of sort of hoping um to do, which I had mentioned it the one night. It was backstage. I know Ken and Austin were there, and I don't know if Tommy was or not, but I had mentioned, I was like, hey, let's pick like a couple topics or something like that instead of just, you know, people come up on the panel and, you know, just basically whatever. It was like let's pick a topic, you know. And I know Ken doesn't like, the politics in his channel. I respect that. He doesn't really, I don't think he really likes to do a whole lot of the religion stuff because, with the political stuff, everybody has their own ways. I respect that. But yeah, that was an idea that I had was, let's pick a couple topics out. Let's see where, you stand on this compared to what I stand on this and, something like that. And we did attempt to do that. I do remember, but then I think that's when Becky was in, and then all hell broke loose, and it was like, yeah, that just went pew out the door, totally out the door, you know. But I would like to make things fun again for people, you know. I don't really see, Ken enjoying his channel like I used to see it. I don't see that sparkle in Ken's eyes anymore like I used to. It's almost anymore just like, oh, yeah, well, I guess I got to boot this up. And that's the way I'm seeing it. Well, I guess I have to do this or, something like that. You know, that's kind of the way I feel. That's kind of the way I feel too. And it's not even my channel. But like I said, I enjoy seeing most of y'all. I really, really do. But it should be something that, we're looking forward to again. Yeah, and that was really, really fun, Judy. That was super fun. Austin getting up here singing, or doing the guess the songs, stuff like that. That's fun. It probably isn't everybody's cup of tea, but I think Ken was gonna shower and have a nap, Shane. I think so. Yeah, I mean, it could be music, it could be movies, food, anything like that, you know, just to kind of sort of get to know, you know, oh, well, okay, this person likes that, this person likes that, whatever, whatever. When I was doing music the other night, some of you guys were putting in chat, different songs. And although I wouldn't play the whole thing, I'd look it up and, it was kind of sort of like DJ Stacy that or Jax get down, and that's something else, Jax. From the time he was an itty bitty little baby, Jaxie's grown with the channel. We love getting to see um when Austin and Nora put the babies up, or they'll say, oh, you know, brought home really good grades, or something like that. That's wonderful. Jeff and Judy, we'll get to see Noah, we'll get to see Ken's, you know, that's the way that things should be, you know, being there for your family, seeing the kids growing up and stuff like that. I, I understand we're not blood family, but I'll tell you what, those babies, they got my heart. The day I laid my eyes on them down in East Earl, it was totally different, than seeing an image of somebody over a computer or over a phone or something like that. I absolutely fell in love with those children. Absolutely did. Beautiful, beautiful souls. Beautiful souls. Yeah, Jax is being a little stinker, Judy. He really is. Nice scratch, Master. I know I said 10 minutes about 10 minutes ago, guys, but it's 12:52. I'll pop till 1 o'clock because I think Ken said he was going to do between 1 or 2, something like that. So I respect that. I'll stay till 1 o'clock. Yes, Matthew, he's going to be doing his ambulance thing. Um, Hi, I don't know that I don't recognize your name.
one's fish and chips.
Hi, Ben. Oh my goodness. I know, Judy. I was so freaking mad at myself. I had Greg with me. We went to the big car wash, and I think it was Noah's birthday. Hi, Gertie. Like right around Noah's birthday. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna video this for him. And I'm there. I got my phone. I'm talking. I'm like, hey, Noah, buddy, happy birthday. Oh, look at the colors. Look at the colors. Here comes the brushes. Here comes. I always call it an octopus, but I'm there, whatever. And my brother, he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm doing this for a friend of mine's son. I was like, and he just kind of looked at me and I was like, he really didn't understand. Um, oh, okay. Thank you. Nice to meet you too. So it gets to the end. I'm like, all right, buddy, I love you. Happy birthday. I hope you enjoyed it. Looked at my phone. I'm like, you've got to be shitting me. It wasn't recording. I'm like, oh, crap. I freaking told Jeff and Judy that night. I'm like, I had the perfect thing for Noah, and I totally freaking screwed it up. But Judy sent Adam for his birthday the sweetest thing. Noah was saying, happy birthday, Adam. Oh my gosh. Do you remember that, Adam?
Yep, I do.
I have that. It's such a sweet, sweet thing. It, excuse me. Exactly, Judy. Exactly. And that's, you pay attention. You pay attention to, what other people like. And like I said, I know, Noah, he loves his car washes. And I also know he likes Gus.
All right, kids, we're heading out. We'll be back. Love you guys.
Love you guys. Be careful. Have fun. I mean, I know. Let's see here. Scooby Doo, Austin and North, Scooby Doo. You know, just different things. Like I said, if you're truly family, then you would know these things. Hey, Larry, I'll see ya. Take care. See you on the flip flop. And anybody that knows me knows that I wear flip flops all year round. Just saying. Just saying. And Gertie, we will be getting down to Asian fusion. We've been saying this for a year that we were meeting up, and it still has not happened. But that definitely will happen. And I want to get to meet Judy and the kids. I did get to meet Jeff, and he's just as funny. Fuck you. He cracks me up. Tommy and Deb, Debony, and Brad would love to get a chance to meet them as well. Love you too, Judy. Yeah, you never know, Misty. Maybe sometime they'll have a meetup around where you are. Oh no, you're fine, Ben. Yeah, I only have a dog. I don't have dogs. I have one. He's doing really good, and the kitties are doing really good. Did you get to see the baby? The baby kitten, Ben? No? Where's Jax? I'll have Adam grab him real quick. Hi, Josh. I was just explaining why I'm gonna be departing. Yeah. Here's Jax. Jaxie. Sad just a baby. Say, look at my fat Tommy. Oh, I know, my fat shaming you. You little sweetheart. Come on. Well, guys, yeah, he's getting a lot bigger. If he stays still, here, let him see ya. Let him see ya. Precious. Okay, okay. Let me put you down so you can go play. There you go, buddy. All right, guys, it's 1 o'clock. Ken probably will soon be again. I think he said between 1 and 2. He's going to be doing his or starting his ambulance driver. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna sign off. So you all take care. Keep in touch. Bye.